It is Thursday, April 11th. It is 7 p.m., 7:01. This is the meeting of the Mendon Conservation Commission. My name is Carl Hummel. I'm the chair. The other commissioners will introduce themselves.
Bob Sweet.
Leah Whiting.
Peter Coffin.
And we have a quorum. We'll skip forward to agenda item 3 because we have someone who is here for that specific part of the meeting. 4549 Uxbridge Road, review status, SWIP and their status on this site.
Yeah, so Isabella Genova, conservation agent. But me, Dylan Lindholm, the junior or assistant town planner, and Jeff Walsh of Graves Engineering, we walked the site Wednesday afternoon, went over the history of the site with John Nienart, the applicant and site manager. And so we walked the entire site. Jeff is preparing comments. He was hoping to get them today, but I think it got pushed. So I think it's on. The site doesn't have any current erosion problems that I observed, but so we should be moving forward with figuring out what's been permitted and what the next steps will be.
Okay, so the pollution prevention plan, there's nothing unusual in that, the latest one?
They, I can share my screen. They mulched. They put up mulch berms around the entire perimeter of the site.
Mr. Chair, you should probably note that we're being recorded, right? I almost.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they mulched the whole front area, entranceway, along the sides of the access road, and then up top, pretty much around the whole perimeter. And they did hydroseed. They started Wednesday afternoon when we were on site. So a lot of the upland portion did get hydroseeded with a native conservation upland mix with a heavy tact for the storms we have now, but
A heavy what?
tactifier.
It sticks it down,
Oh, okay.
so the water doesn't wash it away.
So mulch, they didn't spread topsoil. So what do they use for mulch, or what are?
It's a very dark loam with sticks and larger
The
stones.
compost.
Oh, it's got more soil in it. It's
Yeah.
got- Yeah, okay.
So that's around the whole perimeter. The middle part is still open where the rock piles and the machinery is, because they still have to do the work, but they've done the whole perimeter.
As we heard, we're still waiting for a report from one of the other town staffers. So we're going to postpone or continue discussing the peer review for at least another 2 weeks. We also had a correspondence on this property that we dealt with. You want to discuss that?
Sure.
The jackhammering.
Oh, yeah, I had, some abutters have reached out just concerned about blasting. And I informed them that the permit is in place and the project's been approved. How they get to that grade is up to them. So the project will have, if they get their blasting permit this week or next week, they will have to post for 6 weeks. They will have to test the abutters wells and foundations. That's DOT's permit process. So.
Right. So the current position of the Conservation Commission is that if they switch from jackhammering to blasting, the applicant and site owner does not need to come before the Concom to amend the existing order of conditions. Yet. Okay. We now have Another member of the Concom showing up. Susan, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, Susan Cahalan, I'm co-chair.
Okay.
Wait,
Any,
yourself?
any other input,
Oh, co-chair, I'm co-chair.
any other input on the Uxbridge site?
Catherine has her hand raised.
Oh, okay. Yep. Please introduce yourself and your address.
Catherine, you're on mute.
Catherine Hackinson, 25 Washington Street. My concern about allowing blasting on that site is, and I had written to the board about it. First of all, I know it's within 100 feet of the wetlands. And I wanted to know what, I guess, what the law was when you're, are you able to blast within 100 feet of wetlands and wells and the lake being at least 200, within 200 to 250 feet of the blasting area. There is a person on Taft Avenue that just finished using, he had, ledge as well, hard ledge. And I had written about possibly using another method called the infused grout method that would not be as invasive or have as much negative effect around the surroundings. And he used it with success. So that he wouldn't affect his neighbors' wells, foundations, have any toxic waste going into the groundwater or into the runoff into the lake. And I guess my question is, from what I'm understanding, it's more like, well, we're going to allow the blast to happen, and then afterwards, take a look and see, was there any damage? And if there's any damage, then deal with it. Whereas I'd rather be more proactive and see if it's possible to use an alternative method so that we don't have to worry about those concerns. That's my question. Why, if there's a better method, why can't that method be used instead of blasting and having, having negative effects?
Well, John Nenard isn't here at the meeting, so we can't have that conversation with him. Attorney Brodsky, is that something you have any input on, or should we wait until we talk to John?
Chair Hummel, good evening. Adam Brodsky, I'm environmental counsel for Route 85 Realty Corp. And I can't speak on the issue of blasting or alternative methodologies.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I will say there aren't limitations to blasting in the Wetland Protection Act. Because the Conservation Commission has already permitted the grade of the project. And they did require that well testing occur for blasting if that was the route they had to go down. There's no changing that allowance that's already been permitted. Under their permit with DOT, they will have to test all the foundations and wells within a certain amount. But that's not jurisdictional to Conservation Commission.
Can I ask one question?
Yep.
So the wells in question, how deep are they? Because they might not be hydrogeologically connected.
Mr. Chair, if I could just, well, I think her concern is private wells that are around, not too far away, which 200 feet, 400 feet, I don't know. The old ones, they might only be very shallow wells.
Exactly.
So
That's
it
why I asked the
is
question.
at the knob of the hill, and yes, it does feed the lake, and how far away that is and her concerns with that. I am not aware, though, of any limitations in the Concom for blasting. Now, we might take into consideration finished level and groundwater, but both blasting and, or I would suggest hole ramming, we are running into that more and more. And as a neighbor, it's obnoxious, the whole ramming.
Oh my God, I can hear it from
The
my house.
blasting, at least there's more legal concerns that, and it, unfortunately, I'm not aware that you can't be proactive. Maybe on something that you might have to, they put a bond, but you go take pictures, but that's almost on your shoulders to take the picture pre. And so I don't know, we can get into testing, and I'm sure there's protocols for that, but that's not our business. So, and I know, well, I'm curious about the infused grout method. It would be nice, but my sense is maybe that was more, because I know it happens quite often. You got to put a septic system and oops, there's ledge where a little bit, so you got to blast a little bit or hole ram it to get it out. And maybe that's where a gentler infused grout method, but to take down a hill like that, to go down 10 feet to install drainage, I haven't heard about it, so.
Yeah, and I will, I have spoken to John about it. The last update was Wednesday afternoon. Their own building is a very, that foundation is, they're very nervous about their own building on site. So they're only going just below the grade they have to install the drainage. And they're doing it in very small blasts. It should be done quickly. But again, it's regulated by DOT.
In this instance, because it's near Route 16, normally though, it's the fire department too.
The fire department will also give a permit.
So my summary for Ms. Hackinson is that this is unfortunately not, switching over to blasting is not jurisdictional for Concom. If you want to discuss the alternative method, you can reach out to John Nienart at his company. And as you just heard, the fire department is probably your best avenue to work with, because they are going to be signing off on a blasting permit, and you could express any concerns with them, and they may be able to work with you on some proactive measures. But it's not something that the Concom expects to be reviewing. We're just looking at the site. If as a result of the blasting, there is an impact on the wetlands, then we add that to the enforcement order and do a remediation. But the expectation is that the work will be done in accordance with standards and best practices, and we won't have that concern.
Oh, expanding ground.
I wasn't, yeah,
Any other comments on Uxbridge Road?
there's not a whole lot of fractured bedrock here. You have to go.
Okay, so we will move on to the next agenda item. Thank you for listening in to keep us honest, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a future week.
Thank you, Chair Hummel. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Okay, so we can go back to agenda item 2, review other correspondence.
There wasn't too much. I think I forwarded a couple either webinars or events that I got in my inbox. The only one is the MSMCP Municipal Society Massachusetts Society Municipal Conservation Professionals. They've given a recommendation, a summary of their recommendations for DEP's wetlands regulation updates. I think I forwarded it. I'll check again. But those,
The stormwater, their stormwater review.
yeah, I don't know if that review included the stormwater regs review as well, but they're also updating the
But
stormwater
it's a whole lot of
regulations.
regulations that is going to fall down on us to enforce, right? And so
Yeah.
it's going to make our job, we got to get educated on it because they're
Mhm.
pretty stringent, some of these things.
The specific request is there's a review period that ends the end of April. And I have gone and looked at what the professional organization is doing is they have a spreadsheet that they're sharing with concerns that their professionals, other conservation agents and Concoms have addressed. They're asking each individual conservation commission to look at the regulations, look at the list of things and say, do you have anything else to get added and bundled in by the review period? I've looked at it and I'm saying, yep, those are regulations. I'm not technically confident to say anything more than, yep, they're there. The question is, if other people on the Concom want to look at the stormwater, the proposed regulations that the review period ends, and schedule time at our April 24th meeting to provide comments and discuss them. Is that something anyone else is interested in?
And or we're certainly welcome as an individual to make comments, right?
Right,
But
yeah.
it would be stronger if it came through.
So I'm saying for myself, don't have any input to it. I'm looking to see if other people in the committee are going to look at the regulations and come up with ideas other.
It's a lot.
I can take a
Other-
look.
Other than Isabel. Well,
If that matrix is on it, that's a quick way of reviewing, right? And
Yes.
getting, that's,
and
I think reading through their comments is a great way to see what they're trying to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
the proposed regulations
so
more workable.
if you do that research in the next week and a half, let Isabella know if you want to have the Concom take a formal position on various aspects of that document. And we would then
Yep.
prepare something saying, we agree with the people who are saying this part of the document should be, this regulation should be updated. Whatnot. So we will see whether that's on our agenda in 2 weeks.
We're talking about correspondence. Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Were we able to correspond with the Vanderbuck?
but the parking lot
Uh,
expansion,
Yes. Isabella.
the cutting of the tree.
No.
No, we discussed it. last-
Okay.
Yeah, I remember briefly.
This is
Putting
correspondence.
it
that
under
comes
other
in, not
correspondence.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't.
Correspondence.
Uh-huh. Full voicemail email. Okay. All right. Any other correspondence? Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, request for certificate of compliance for 6A West Hill Road, DEP number 218-0804 by Gary Gaffney for the construction of a single-family home and associated utilities.
Yeah, this was one of the letters I sent out, and so is the following one, to permits that were issued in 2020 that might have expired but they had actually requested a certificate of compliance, and a commissioner did do a site walk. It's in the agenda for,
How long ago?
June 20th, 2023.
Last year.
Yeah, so they just didn't get their permit. So these 2 permits need to be signed, but they have been inspected supposedly.
Okay, so this is just Susan and I not keeping up with the paperwork over the summer.
Could I just ask a question? Because I get a little leery when I see 6A. So often that is the lot number. By the time they get a house, it's not, it's different from the NOI. So 6A was carved out as 6.
It's
So
just listed as.
I don't
six.
know, just get
On the map
check on
now.
the street address.
I think it is still 6A. That's at least what it is online and in their building permit.
And then.
So I think the lot
does 6 have wetland work on it? Or I don't know. Was it a,
No. I didn't see
is
any.
it a frontage lot? It's not important, I'm sure, but the only
It just
question
came
would
up
be,
as
who
6
was
for
the
me,
the
though.
commissioner who walked the site?
Might have been you.
Probably wasn't,
That's,
It's 21.
it wasn't me, or I would have sent
23.
out an email about it.
West
June of
Hill Road.
23.
Can you bring it up on Mapper? Find people where in town it is.
Cause that's off of Northbridge Road. Is that the cul-de-sac? Didn't Tim build a house up there?
It's this one,
Well, 6. That's
It
a
just
huge-
says 6.
6A.
Yeah.
So where's the frontage for 6?
6A, comes up here.
Close that box.
So
Close
the,
there. So they're calling that whole enchilada 6A? Or that got it? See, that's where I get concerned when I see 6A.
this lot coming down this way is 6A. And then,
Right, but there's no lot break. It's the whole enchilada in my estimation. And the house is way up front. And they might skirt, I don't know how they get around,
the house is here.
because that's not driveway.
This is 2023 imagery.
What road is that off? of?
Well, it's off of West Hill Road, but go back to the,
I'm not sure where that is.
no problem. There's a, the driveway is long and thin, right? So
So this is 2021 though. So the house is right here.
So a new house got put here.
Yeah.
There was an old barn here, and you can see where the driveway went across this guy's lot into there. So at some point, they carved off maybe this lot, they left 50 feet for this. Okay, then they come back to us for this, for a house here, the wet ones here. All I know is, I don't think I've ever walked there. And I'm sure it's okay, but I just get confused when I see 6 and 6A and.
I don't know, is that a gene question? The assessors?
Yeah, whoever assigns, street.
It should be. That. No.
There should be, yes, and so that's a planning board issue, did it, and so, but they're still not gonna give the numbers, right? So, yeah. It is probably an assessor question.
Okay, so the action on this is you will pass around something for us to sign. Okay, agenda item 5, request for certificate of compliance for 16 Kelly Road, DEP number 218-0794 by Jennifer DeAlio for construction of a single family home. This is the same, was there a site walk and a sign off done
Yeah.
for this as well?
Yeah, just needs to sign off. They submitted pictures and it was just the installation of the septic in the back, but it's on the 100-foot line. So this one also looks good.
Get that done now.
You need a motion or you're just signing?
No, we did all that last summer. It's just that we never actually got, Susan never got around to printing them out and
Gotcha.
making sure we signed them all, and the homeowner.
For what site?
All of these last papers.
6A West Hill and 16 Kelly.
We're not using our
No,
electronic.
it doesn't ring a bell.
signature?
Don't have to if we're here.
Hit the silent.
Another foundation fire.
Especially with all this fog, you know, there's some noise this time.
It's just this page we're signing.
Couple going.
Route 16.
All right.
Huh?
Okay, agenda item 6, request for minor modification back to original plans for 58C Milford Street, DEP 2180833 by Bob Sweet. Come on up as well.
So Bob is going to the other side of the table. Yeah.
Making the walk of shame.
And his neighbors, good.
All of you say something or just start?
Yeah, so I got requests from Bob Sweet about 58C.
58C.
Yeah.
right.
So there's a pipe on the property that he had originally intended to install and then had gone back to maybe not install it, that he didn't need to do so. And now he's asking to put the pipe in as originally intended on the plans again.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Right now, the pipe seems to be compromised. It's backing water up. It's not flowing through. So at this point, it seems like it's prudent to just replace the pipe because the driveway is going to go over it, and doing it after the driveway is put in doesn't seem like it's forward thinking.
Is this
Yep.
jurisdictional for us?
And my property is flooding big time because that water's not flowing.
You have not been recognized by the chair,
Oh,
so please mute yourself
sorry.
until I ask for audience participation. Yep.
I-
Okay, yes, what's your question?
I'm very supportive of it because it probably should have been done. My concern always has been how it gets done, whether you're going to be able to sleeve one in, or my concern is the end, right? So how are you proposing to do it, or what
The
site?
way it was originally proposed and the way I would intend to still do it is there's an 18-inch, 3-foot long piece of pipe on both sides, but the pipe in between is smaller.
Can't have that, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is leave the 18-inch piece of 3-foot long pipe in where it stops me from having to disturb the wall from a catch basin or whatever, dry well or whatever you want to call it, that's on 58's property. And then trench, stone, and cover the new pipe. So that way there, it is all one piece and doesn't create any disturbance to existing historic landmarks.
Much better, yes, and it's improved the drainage and should fix the issue. I'm all supportive of that, yeah.
Okay, here's my question. We issued an order of condition before you joined the Concom that said you were going to do something. And then you came back and you asked us to modify that to not make the pipe.
The pipe was working at the time. I had its camera checked and they said it was working, but now
Okay,
for some reason it's not.
okay, so my question is, what did the Concom do at a meeting where we said you could deviate from your OOC? Did we make a motion and vote on it? Was it an amended plan?
Yeah.
So did we have an amended plan, or did we just say that?
Because I
Our
brought in
usual
the
form.
documentation from the drain cleaning company, you took that into consideration and
Yep, I remember
used
that.
that as reason not to disturb
Okay,
an area that needed not be disturbed at the time.
Yeah,
okay,
we went all around that
yes.
couple meetings,
So-
right?
so you're-
Does this meet with your, I should?
Well, so your.
I got questions after.
So your request tonight is that you want to undo that discussion from a couple of years ago, and instead do strictly what was approved in the original OOC.
Correct.
And is in the word minor modification back to original plans is in the agenda item. Is that something that's in the regulations, or is that?
Well, so the commission can approve a minor modification or they can request an amendment to the order of condition.
Okay,
But I'm a little confused on if it's a minor modification, if it's returning to the original plan.
If it was a minor modification to do it, it's certainly a minor modification not to
Undo
do
it,
it, I
yeah.
would think.
Okay.
That's-
all right.
Or it could be as an amendment. I think either way, paperwork wise, it would work, right?
Okay, so any other commissioners want to talk about this? All right, we'll ask for.
Wait, I just have one.
Go
Is there any way we can just see it on a map?
And
Because if we're talking about this, it's jurisdictional, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
Sorry, but I
This
just.
is,
No, it's fine.
this is the
visual.
pipe under the driveway? Yeah.
do you want
Pipe.
sorry,
Like the mass map review where if,
You-
where
okay.
the wetlands are.
I don't think you'll see, well, you'll
No, you
see the
won't.
wetlands,
You'll
yes.
see the wetland where it begins, but this is the mystery. It kind of goes into this pipe and then kind of disappears and somehow has to get down to Route 16 or it's.
Where the strip drain is.
And that's where it's popping out, right? So we're gonna be talking about that later. The water's gotta go somewhere.
it's here. So the wetland comes and it goes under the driveway here and it comes to this weird, sorry, not weird, but this like old,
It's a classy, it's like an 8-foot square, made,
It's either a
Can't
catch basin
concrete
or
or-
something.
it's a drop inlet and it goes in and then. the
There's a
pipe goes
space
out.
where water is supposed to pool on the other side of the drain. Ish.
Well, it's a mystery though, where it goes after that, right? It's
Okay.
No, I know. where
it's
it
off
goes.
his property. Well, it's
It goes to a catch basin that's on Route
on
16.
Route 16,
And then crosses the road.
a long ways.
This is the pipe that you're talking about along in here.
Correct.
Basically, yes.
Okay, and it's within 100 feet of here.
Correct.
It connects it.
is-
Connects it.
It drains that.
It's draining this and connecting it
Right.
downstream to,
Some wetland that we don't know, so we don't know where the other end of that pipe.
so does that give you a good?
That's
look?
good. That helps.
So
Thank
we'll-
you.
we'll ask for people who are in the room and then ask for people who are on the call. So,
It's been like that for 40 years.
okay, could you please identify yourself and your address?
I'm Bill Vincent, 58A. It's been that way for 40 years,
Yeah, we're not gonna change your address.
but it got worse. Very worse. It's flooding the whole back of the property now.
So you said.
Not my property, their, the,
The Howard.
Howard's.
You said you had some questions about
Because
this request.
no, don't get tearing now. You put that pipe in there, standing up. You blocked it. You blocked that pipe. My pipe, the pipe going across. You blocked that pipe. It ain't even draining no more. I was gonna get some fish and put it in the back. That's how bad it is now. It's a pond. I mean, we never had a pond like that. Never. It always drained and I maintained it.
Have you seen that black pipe lately?
Uh,
Drilled-
wait, addressed to the chair, not to
Okay.
me.
Yeah, you put the pipe in. But I don't even know if you contacted them to put the pipe, that standing pipe in. I don't even know that. I let it go, I let it fly by. I knew what was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. It was gonna back the whole thing up. And it did, and it got worse. And we got a lot of water back there now, a lot of water. You should see it.
The question before the committee is whether to approve the minor modification back to the original plan.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm,
for or against
yeah,
it or against-
definitely, it'll take care of it.
Okay, so you're in favor of it.
But the only thing is, once he puts that pipe in, right,
were thinking like a dam thing.
you can't let all that water out at once. The volume, there's a lot of volume back there now.
Okay,
Once he puts that 15-inch pipe in there, you can't let it all flow out. You gotta have like a,
Like a.
okay, well, let me.
like a check valve or something.
I'll now go back to the applicant.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan for mitigating the sudden whoosh of velocity?
In order to be able to dig that pipe, Mr. Chairman, I have to put a check dam in
Yeah.
to hold the water back
Okay.
while construction is being done.
Right.
Or else the water is just gonna travel down and make a mess and create mud and silt. And I need to avoid that. So
You gotta work in
I
the
will
dry.
put a
side.
check dam in, made of stone and riprap. So that way there, it holds the water back while the work is being done. When the work is done, then I'll slowly take the check dam out so water flows at a moderate rate rather than all at once creating a flooding situation or possible flooding situation.
Yeah.
Is
That
it-
will alleviate the Howard's concerns and the concerns of whether or not the pipe is going to get clogged in the future.
Okay, is it reasonable to ask, for us to ask to have a site walk after you construct the dam and before you start letting the water flow through?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you might not have much time. So do it with the weather, right? Because you want to be in there quick and out and done and yeah.
Right. And, I'm hoping to do it in, 3 days' time.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll now go
Just look
to,
for this long-term
I
weather.
have one question.
no,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
Greg Vincent, 58B, matter of fact. When you finish, will it be a check dam in case it was a lot of water? Would we let it out gradually so we don't flood our property in the strip joint? Because that does go down.
The water that flows the water that is historic is gonna be there no matter what.
Okay, I just, like, we had a major rainstorm this year and I just,
Several of them.
it was awful. Believe me, but I just don't want it. want it.
Right. You don't want
Happen.
problems on your site.
Yeah,
I get it.
and we're not yelling at you or anything.
No, the reason why I'm doing this isn't because I want to do it. It's
Yeah,
because
'cause-
the leaves and stuff that are being piled on the side of it seem to be blowing into it. If you look at that black pipe that's there, Mr. Chairman, I put a pipe because I put a vertical pipe in, a 2-foot diameter vertical riser to try and stop the leaves from going in the pipe that are being piled up on the side. And as the agent came to see, there's it's a potential problem that I was trying to avoid by putting this riser in. So on the back side of it, I drilled holes so that the water could get into the pipe and go down into that checkbox, whatever it is. But
The holes are only
Yeah.
like this.
actually, Mr. Chairman, I knew the holes were that small, so I took a 4-inch drill and I drilled 2 bigger holes,
Okay.
which allows
that's-
all the
that's-
water to go through that would have gone through.
How the holes in the standing pipe aren't that.
Right,
relevant.
they're not the issue.
What I would instead ask is the original OOC and what you're asking for now did not have a standing pipe, did not have the check dams that you're talking about. Would those get removed before
Yeah.
you ask for a certificate of compliance?
Yes.
Okay,
So the standing pipe will be removed altogether because there won't be a concern or need
Right.
for it when I'm done.
okay,
And the check dam, it will be taken down because that will allow the water to flow through the pipe freely.
okay. Any other concerns from the audience? Your turn. Yep. Move the-
Okay,
move the
Margaret
mic
Vincent, 58A. Okay. I just want to ask you, okay, we did have a lot of water this year, so we saw the results, right? But what I want to say is all that water is coming down the driveway and it's coming into the house. Now, it's not just, we have a well that was closed in by the environmental people, okay? We already have a lot of water in that district area. And by that water coming down the driveway, we've had a lot of flooding in our cellar that we have never had that much. So I just want to address that because that has to be taken care of.
Could that be also, Mr. Chairman, could that also be because of all the rain
Concern.
that we've had?
You-
Because I did not change the slope of the driveway from the top of where it goes to where I put the new house to where it goes down to their house.
Let me
So-
ask a
Oh, it's at
specific.
the bottom of the hill too.
Let me ask a question about the specific concern. Do you believe that reverting back to the original plan will make her flooding of her basement worse?
No.
Do you think
it
it'll make it
actually
better?
improve it?
Okay, so then it seems like the best course of action is to allow us for us to approve this, to allow him to make that. And then after that happens, wait until a future storm and see if you still have
We'll
this
be in
level
a
of flood.
disaster if we allow it.
No,
Oh, no, we want,
we wanted it. I wanted it.
Well, we want it, but I'm just saying,
Sorry,
hopefully
she
it will
had
work
a
properly.
hard time.
Okay,
It definitely, that's what I wanted to begin with.
yes. Okay, so you're in favor,
Yes,
speaking in
definitely.
favor of the proposal. All right.
Just wanted
There's
to.
someone on the
Somebody's over there.
call who is interested in speaking. Could you identify yourself and your address, please?
The Como 48 Rod Road, Mendon. I'm part of the house. I'm on the House Trust. And yes, I thank you, Bob, that you're going to put that pipe in because our property is flooded. I'm 5th generation. It has never been like what it is this year. I get videos on a regular basis.
No, trust me, I want to do the right thing for everybody. I'm not moving into
know-
the area to be the problem neighbor. I'm trying to move in to be a good neighbor.
No, I absolutely, I'm just saying, because quite honestly, I dialed in here because I was a little annoyed because I've been getting videos all winter long on that, and the water is not moving at all, and it always moves because there's that rock wall in that front field to catch all the road drainage that drips it off in the other direction and down to the Vincents and out it goes. So I very much appreciate it, and we'll see how this plays out.
Okay, thank you
That's
for
all
your
I wanted
input.
to say.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Any further discussion from the committee? Okay. Isabella, what's the best way to phrase this as a motion, as a minor modification that doesn't require an amendment?
Revert back to original plan.
Yeah, I would say you're approving the
Okay,
going back to the original plan. I don't, yeah.
okay. So who's going to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we should approve
The request
the request to go back to using the original proposal for the notice of intent.
for 58C Milford Street. Is there a second?
Sounds good.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
That the thinking is that this is to get through here, and then we might at a site visit say, is it sufficient, or you're gonna have to put in something, because you can't just leave a check
Well, there
statement,
will
right? So
be,
there might have to be modification. I don't know.
we're expecting at least 2 site visits in the future. The first one will be after he finishes his setup work and before he pulls the plug and lets all the water flow through. And the second one will be at some time in the future when he's asking for a certificate of compliance. And when he asks for the certificate of compliance, that would be a chance for neighbors to come in and say whether their basement is still flooding, if they're seeing unseasonably high water, and if they would want to have other things done to restore the hydrology of the neighborhood.
Sounds good. That's what
All
I
right.
wanted to begin with.
Okay, so we're all set with agenda item 6. Thank you for coming
Thank
in
you.
and attending the meeting.
You have the vote.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that important part. All in favor?
Say aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you for keeping me on.
Yeah, because it's in, it's gonna be in the way,
Yeah.
so I'll get rid of it.
Yeah. do that.
Okay, come
I
back,
don't wanna, I don't wanna.
come back and join us now. That was 6. We're flipping over the page. All right, agenda item 7, review activity since last meeting. First, site monitoring for Sylvan Springs. We have inspection reports in 315, 325, 329.
We have, they're pretty consistent with what they've been submitting. There's still some problems. I think it's lot 14 and lot 62. And I believe they're gonna hydro seed in these upcoming weeks. So those runoff that they keep experiencing through the winter should be solved.
April 15th is coming up.
I already threw my clover down.
Is that right? Well, not, it's warm.
Right. It's gonna rain. We'll get it
I've
soaked in.
been watching and seeing which items are being carried over on DeShang's report and not being addressed by the site manager. My inclination is that if we go another month and the site manager hasn't taken action on them, that we reach out and say, well, when are you going to do these? But at this point, we'll give them another, and I would say give them another month.
Those dates, is it weekly or he goes out every big storm?
It's bi-weekly minimum and then after each half-inch storm.
Half-inch storm, okay, thank you.
Okay. Building permits. Were there any new building permits in the last 2 weeks? I don't see any listed here.
There's one for a pool, but there was no wetlands.
Not jurisdictional, okay. And the other ones that are listed are all carried over from the previous meeting and they're all still on hold waiting for.
Yeah, I got 93 North Bridge is one of the first lots in the Sylvan Springs subdivision. So they submitted the certificate of compliance request this morning. And there's a slew of them that have not had those requests in because they've been waiting for ground cover post-construction. So now that the developer's aware, he's submitting a few of them.
Now that we're keeping track of his paperwork. Okay,
Yeah.
so we can expect that in future meetings. All right, agenda item number 8, general business. First one, conservation agent updates.
The task force met on Tuesday this week.
Not-
Okay,
I mean,
He's the
You're not
conservation
the, you're not the agent.
you jumped the gun.
Subject, Conservation agent update.
That's her, you're after her.
Sorry.
Tonight is,
Met today.
Yeah.
tonight is old guy forgetting things day. I forget to hold a vote, you forget whether you're the
Little
agent.
darting, no, I was kidding.
Okay,
I attended the select board meeting last night. Providence Street Road, the select board did choose to move forward with the engineering proposal. And Tag and Bond has reported that to meet stream crossing standards, they will most likely have to do box culvert. So they're moving forward with doing the study, hydrologic study, and they'll have to do all that.
So they're not going under with the small pipes like they were gonna do before, or?
Not doing the farming fix, no.
No temporary, yeah, engineered properly.
Oh,
that's
Providence
good.
Street, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
Providence Street.
does that mean that they will be
The
coming?
expensive fix.
They'll be coming before the Concom in a couple of weeks with an NOI?
Probably.
I would say not a couple weeks,
months.
a couple months,
Okay,
but eventually we will be reviewing that project.
But we
Yes.
should fast track that. We're not gonna be blamed for
Right.
slowing up.
Yeah.
well, she's going to the meeting, so we'll be kept in the loop. It will be a surprise.
2 weeks, next meeting, we'll have the 35 Hastings continuance and 49 Milford Street has submitted as well. So wanting to schedule site walks for those and make sure commissioners who want to attend are able to. So I don't know if weekdays are good or if we would want to do a Saturday for this one, or I know you can't maybe go to the Hastings one, but the Milford Street for Peter. But I know Leah and Bob are very flexible.
My Commander Lee is usually the only person who is not available Monday through Friday.
Right.
So I will reach out to him and see whether he wants to participate in a site walk. And if so, when his availability is.
Also, it is light later. I don't know if, 4:30 or
Yeah.
5 o'clock. I don't know when Mike,
Mhm.
he's probably running late days, but what the option, whatever
Yep.
works.
Right.
Tuesdays are hard for me, but everything else is,
Right.
pretty.
Because I think I'd like to do it this week so that I have time to write up for the week following.
So if it's on a weekend, you'd want to do it this weekend?
Well, next Saturday, I guess, so I have that.
A week from Saturday.
Yeah. But
Okay,
if it is a Saturday.
so your normal site visit day is Thursday mornings?
I've been doing Thursdays,
Okay, so
but
if Mike cannot make Thursday morning and wants to have it on a weekend, your proposal is a week from Saturday. If Mike is not interested in the sidewalk, or if he's going to go on his own, then you would want to have it a week from today, next Thursday. Is that, those are the two proposals?
yeah.
Okay, so I will contact Mike and see which of those two dates the sidewalks will be held for.
Okay.
Either the 18th or the 20th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Order of conditions. I was working on starting a boilerplate of order of conditions, ones that we would attach most of the time. I was not prepared to review them. But so I didn't know if I sent those out over the next week or two to maybe review at the next meeting, see what you all are interested in having as conditions, typical conditions.
Yeah, let's have a discussion, kind of, so, start throwing them out and we can.
Okay, so I'll put that on next agenda too.
We have a full meeting, it'll get punted.
Okay. I met with Metacomet Land Trust about the Maple Farms Vandersloot CR. We went over a couple of things. I made some suggestions about temporary structures. One was the Vandersloots are very interested in having this as education opportunities for MISCO. And I made the suggestion that if they're going to have kids, they should have some sort of open air classroom structure. And the CR as it stood had some limits on amount of imperviousness for agricultural structures, but no limit or like text
Education.
about education structures. I don't think so. I don't think it would be, I think it would be like a field trip from MISCO or an education where you do like a tour outside or something. But my suggestion was that they have some sort of platform where it's open air and shaded or wind relief.
Like a gazebo kind of.
Yeah, so having,
Little pavilion,
They're having,
something like that.
I'm down, kids gonna
that's true. But if they're doing like wilderness excursion, they'll go outside. But so at least, because the CR, they're in perpetuity, having the language in there that Metacomet and Concom could vote on some sort of non-foundation structure like that. Similarly to that, there's a section about Indigenous ceremonial access. Same thing, a more long-term temporary structure that's non-invasive to the soil or the vegetation wasn't necessarily permitted. So including that. And then there is a dam on the property that has a big lake. And I think they used to be able to do ice harvesting there. And so the dam, there's a lot of language about the dam and keeping the dam, and that following property owners would maintain the dam. And so my question was just if there was some sort of effort to restore the stream and fish habitat, if that language would then prevent the dam. But there isn't prevent dam removal if that were 100 years from now, if they had to do that or something. But there's another part about ecological connectivity that Metacomet believes if they were trying to restore the habitat, it could
Fall under that.
fall under that. So those were the 3 suggestions I made. They went over Carl's, they responded back in those and implemented most things.
What were we
Um,
arguing about when,
We were
Like,
discussing the
here-
primary and secondary designation.
yeah,
And so I did get more clarification on that. And Metacomet has said they will come to our next meeting to have open discussion if needed. The primary designation, so the Metacomet applied for the grant for 175,000. Mendon matched it to purchase the property at 175. So everyone put an equal amount, but because Metacomet's the one that applied for the grant, the state needs them to be the primary holder. So it's not entirely, my
okay with
understanding,
that.
it's not entirely up for discussion.
yeah,
Um,
they're really good at all of that stuff, you know?
mhm.
Why do we want that on our plate? We have enough, you know?
We were responsible for it. We weren't following through as well as we could have.
Yeah. So that is the benefit. Metacomet is a land trust. Their
Yeah, they're
focus
good.
is conservation.
Mhm.
They're writing the agreement. They do the site monitoring. They will have to notify Concom of any issues or enforcement items
Yeah.
they want to take or any requests that come from the property owner. So there is still a Concom still has a large say, but they don't. Metacomet doesn't rely on us to take action. They can move forward with something if they need to. Or
That's good.
What was the language about Mass Audubon?
So Mass Audubon it would be the primary. If Metacomet ceased to exist, they would become the primary. But I think something might have changed. I got an email about that, so I'm not quite sure if that is still
We'll
needed.
discuss it in 2 weeks then.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to take a whole lot of time because I know Mike is very adamant about this. And part of me, I want to support him in the concept that, no, the town should be in control. It's the land is in town. I guess I would try to make the distinction in this project is that the major distinction is they are the ones who got the grant. They were the instigator, if you will, and were the major,
We're almost like the cosign.
yeah.
There's
The
also,
other thing politically is, no, we've fallen down on our job doing the conservation. They are the ones who are much better at doing it than us. And so I have no problem with them being the primary. I guess
Doesn't
worst
matter
case
anyway.
comes to worst is they could say that they want to sue the people because they're not doing something. And we couldn't say no to that, right? They have full power to do that,
But
but
she's saying that
But
they're the
you'd have-
primary no matter what. We don't have a choice.
and she's saying that you're right. There's not
You'd have
discussion.
to-
That's for Mike to respond to.
they'd have to still notify and take any input
Yeah.
Concom gave. The reverse of that is if there was huge enforcement issues, select board or town administrator may not want to act on Concom's wishes. And so it is maybe good to have the land trust. The other part is it's the wishes of the Vandersloofs for Metacomet to hold it, not us.
Yeah.
So there's multiple reasons why they are the primary.
And
And I think if it doesn't work, then the next one, it doesn't have to be written that way, but that's the way it's gone.
all right, so we will have agenda item or discussion with representatives from Metacomet, and the expectation is by then we will have a final draft and be able to vote on approving a final draft at that meeting.
I think near to final,
Pardon?
near to final.
Okay, well, one step closer. They have promised another draft in the next 2 weeks. Any other conservation agent updates?
I purchased 100 trash bags for 42.49 out of the supply line. It's in the budget. That's to be donated for the
Cleanup.
town cleanup. Yep. So Concom, Board of Health, and Highway donated. The last one is 3 Morrison Drive came up again. I had spoken with John Erickson, who said he would go out to the site and update the abutter. Didn't happen. So the abutter has contacted again. So this time I involved the town planner. We will be meeting with the property owner next Wednesday to go over planning board permits and stormwater permits for the site, to make sure everything's being done appropriately.
This site, the activity that's taking place is not in the buffer zone, but it's uphill from a buffer zone.
Yes.
Right, so that's
So
why,
there were plans in 1990 with wetlands. There's plans in 2018 without wetlands.
Well.
I'm a little,
There you go.
See if they're.
I don't know if they cut the lot and it's the 1999, I don't know. It might have been a bigger lot that got divided, so now it's, the parcel's not as big. But that's, the town planning board has some stormwater permit they need to get on this thing.
so we are not, but we are not necessarily jurisdictional, but we're keeping an eye on it.
That's it.
Can I ask a quick question? You sent us the plans for the Route 16 for the adult entertainment thing. Is that just for us to review, or do we have anything, do we need to do anything with that, or?
The hearing is scheduled for the 1 and 2 weeks, so we'll have the continuation for the grocery store and that the hearing will open. So I'll also schedule the site walks for both those two to see before the next meeting.
But there is documentation to review before that if you
Mhm.
so decide, correct?
Yeah, so the site plans and the stormwater analysis, you're more than welcome to review before the meeting. Yeah.
Well, wait,
And I
just a
have-
quick question. So you're proposing to do a site walk before the public hearing or after? Because sometimes it's nice to hear their presentation and then go have the site walk.
Peter, the site's almost done.
Well, I understand, but there's going to be a site walk, right? I want
Here-
to.
I would almost, because this site is pretty close, I think, to being done, I think it'd be nice to walk it
Beforehand.
before, because the plans are the same plans. So to see how far they've gotten, I think we have to see the site.
This is another case where their 3-year OOC expired. They have refiled exactly the same notice of intent and same plans. However, since it's been more than 3 years, we must go out, do a site walk and evaluate whether the site has changed in the 3 years.
Well, that's
4
my
years.
concern. Yes.
So we do need to have a site walk. If we do a site walk before the hearing, they have the plan, we may be able to say in 2 weeks, you're good to go. We approve exactly what we approved last time. If we do a site walk and there are concerns or issues, then we would be able to address it to them and be informed on it. And
I guess I need to look at it closer, just by looking at the plans and driving by. Is that the settling basin in front? Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of
yeah.
all ugly. And then that's all
actually
supposed to
their
go
leach
into a
field.
channel and then go into the wetland, or it's supposed to go into a pipe.
well, if we have a site walk, you can go and figure that out.
That's their leach field on the plan.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a raised leach field.
That's
4
gonna
feet
look
above that.
awesome.
And I will check with Mike Amandalia, and the site walk will either be next Thursday or a week from Saturday.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, any other agent updates?
You're on now.
You're on.
My turn. All right, so Tuesday, the Lake Association met and they have concerns about naturally the blasting that's going on 45, 49. Tried to make them understand that it's not really a conservation issue that we can do anything about. It's something that's been approved something that they have to talk to the owners about. They're looking to reinstall some buoys that were that floated away over the winter. So they're going to reinstall, I believe, 7 out of the 8 that are out there. Talked about the beavers are still in the back, and also talked about water height. Peter Rossetti said that he has been monitoring the water, and he says at this point it's a little bit lower than usual, which is great to hear with all the rain. But then that brings me back to, are we still planning on getting rain gauges and putting them in? And they had the concern of, will they do the E. coli testing and temperature and monitoring of? So will they be rain gauges, and how many of them are there?
So the next Lake Nipmuc Task Force meeting, whether that be the 16th or the 23rd, because I'm wondering if the agenda was posted. So I've done research on the lake height loggers. And those would be for starting just one by the town beach, where we would do lake height, temperature, conductivity, CTD, conductivity, temperature, dissolved oxygen, and depth. And that would be logged from the beach. And there would be
Video controlled?
so it's so it's cellular. So there's going to be the logger would be in the water, and then there'd be a device on site at the beach. And so that way you could get more loggers around the lake if we want to add more and get different ones.
But one's sufficient for the height, right? Because the height's not gonna.
Yeah, the height will be the same. Board of Health, they're finalizing the testing schedule. Dan and I have assisted on that. They're going to be testing E. coli in 2 different places on the beach, 2 different sides. And then there's 5 additional sites around the lake that we've identified in different coves. And we'd be doing, there's 6 parameters that we're testing for. And so those will be, they're deciding whether they just want the lab to take all the samples or if me or Dan would do them.
Board of Health is paying for this.
Yeah, Board of Health has a testing budget.
Well, you would grab the sample, but then you're still taking them to a lab, right?
Yeah, so the lab does pickups in the area, so
Oh,
it's
that's good.
cheaper to do one pickup
Yeah.
versus have them do it.
Yeah.
So then it would be on Mondays.
Is there 7 sites altogether, 2 at the beach and then 5 in coves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their
And so the-
concern was originally 8 a while ago and 10 before that. So I just, when they
Yeah.
ask, it's nice to have numbers.
Can I ask a question about, so the blasting does concern me. And Bob brought up a good point about being proactive, about taking, stock of the way things were before the blasting and after the blasting. I mean, if they do blasting and then, we see like hundreds of, well, I don't know if there's hundreds, but fish floating up, or, you know what I mean? Or sediment, in the lake, are we gonna be monitoring for that, or?
Unfortunately,
Well-
I think the impacts you're like to see are cracks and fissures in the bedrock, so you're not
Yeah,
gonna,
Susan.
you're not gonna visually see that the next week after they blast it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty well controlled. If they only want 20 feet, they're gonna set the patches to blow.
well, it's like
20
2
feet.
2 feet almost. It's just, or not 220. They're doing 2 feet below the grade that they
Right.
have to get to. They're doing very small blasts. They're very concerned about their building because that foundation is almost touching. They're even, DOT might even make them cage that whole rep slope on the other side because they're concerned all those rocks are going to tumble into the
Yeah,
water. But again, it's not, the project's been approved to get to the grade that they need to. How they do it is up to them. It wasn't conditioned that they can't blast because of the proximity to lake.
Public safety.
So
I
it's
just wonder,
not.
like, once they blast, if there's something that.
So if we observe a huge fish kill and we take a fish and send it in to get arsenic tested or whatever
It could be
testing,
vibration that kills fish too, though, you know what I mean?
but if something very observable occurs,
TBI.
then we can find them, do it but there's nothing really we can do ahead of
All I can
time.
do is ask them to restock the pond.
Get the new fish in, yeah. Um,
Your fish are dead, buy 100 fish, put them back in.
One of the conversations we would have with the town administrator is whether Isabella collecting water samples is a Concom action or whether that gets billed to another department.
A lot of conservation agents do water quality testing in their town.
Yep, and I'll let the town administrator just work out the budgeting aspects. Make sure you get paid and not overworked.
Yeah.
Right, because arguably if it's health for the beach, that's recreational, that's the.
Or
the bulk
Board
of
of
it
Health,
come from
Well,
that.
water quality is,
E. coli would be.
right.
So other than that, they were asking about septic systems, which is Board of Health, and Kingsley Lane, which is highway or something else.
Yeah.
Because they're really having a tough time with Kingsley Lane potholes.
Yeah.
So neither one of those are us.
It's
Yeah.
pothole season.
Mr. Chair, if I could add something kind of, it's a similar but different topic under that. Remember the wall that got built, that was complaints,
10 Taft Ave.
10 Taft Ave, and I still have an issue with the pipe going directly into a pond. That's,
Yes.
so it needs to be resolved somehow, and I'm not sure what the next step is.
I think there's a plan.
Did they get and did they apply for a permit or is this?
The wall was nuts, no. So then this has got to be a complaint, and then this has been a.
We're
yes.
waiting for the owner to come back to us with a plan.
And he hasn't.
Well, yeah, under what?
There would have to be a after the fact NOI.
Out of courtesy?
Either that or he has to take the wall down. I mean, it could be an enforcement order to remove the existing wall.
Those are the two options in my book. Oh, yeah, rebuild the wall somehow.
I have this plan. I don't know. What plans are we looking for?
Which show the lake with a wall in front of
He
it.
said,
and-
yeah, there, he submitted a plan which showed the wall, but then the neighbor next door said, no, that's not.
Now zoom in on the wall that's
Yeah.
there. You'll
Cool.
see it on the
There's the wall along.
Right at the water line.
show a pipe.
So this is an as-built, right? He did not come to us for permission to do this. This is what he submitted, and you'll see that lower wall does show extending into his neighbor's property, but that's their issue. Mike,
And the pipe comes where?
I don't know. I'm assuming it came out of.
See, there's this 4-inch PVC pipe at the top. So this pipe, from what he
Probably
indicated,
came from the
is from the drain
rain
there.
because he didn't want flooding out, so the daylight though, and it's very flat, right? And you didn't want it going over. So I don't know if there was an existing pipe there historically, or before they paved it, right? He had an opportunity to extend a pipe, which might very well have happened, so. Again, this was a former member of the board who was doing the work, so. So that's not this guy. This guy bought it, right? So I don't know whether the pipe was there. This guy built the wall for sure. Excuse me?
Gregory Lambert, who
That-
bought that?
That sounds right.
No, Gregory Lambert is one that's raised now, tore it down and rebuilding it.
So you're going to the lake here? Okay. Up in the cove. Bingo. So you can see there was like a parking area.
Oops, I went in too far. No, this one?
There was a parking area. So he enhanced it. He built the wall and then brought in fill. So we got sent pictures like by some neighbor over the, and there was a machine.
Yeah, they showed the excavator.
They showed the excavator right next to the lake. I don't know. Didn't have this bucket in the lake. But not close.
All right, so I guess the action is to reach out to the homeowner and nudge them saying, what's your status?
Okay, I guess I'll have to review the old
Yes.
meetings. So who was the last person in contact with them?
Came before us and presented that plan.
And
Because we had said, well, the issues are, because the neighbors were beginning to ask questions as well, that, well, we could do an enforcement order, take it down, or you could propose a notice of intent, and that we would then at that point make a decision whether you could do that.
Hmm.
And he was making the argument like others, no, he has the right to do that. And then it never got further than that because the
One
neighbor.
of the reasons why is because it was a question of whether the wall was on the property of the butter.
Of the neighbor, that's
And they have to work that issue out as well. So we're like, that's not our issue,
yep.
but it's gonna be resolved.
So yes, you should familiarize. There's no time crunch on this, but we should get a letter out to.
so this also ties in with one of the proposals I have for the Lake Nipmuc Associations to come up with a one pager of things you are allowed to do. And
Right.
this ties in with the Lake Commission working with the select board to get money to hire a consultant who
91.
knows 91, who can guide us on that, creating that one
Well,
page.
the pond has a 100-foot buffer, so that's Concom to regulate a retaining wall.
Well, no,
No,
but it's a great, so it's regulated under chapter 90.
Additionally,
I agree.
they have to get a chapter 91 license after the Concom permit.
Okay. Because they also need a permit for their docks, and so far, from what I heard is there's only 3 people with permits on the whole lake. So these are just things that the association is asking us to come up with, like a submission form that they can post in their association newsletter, so that anybody that will read it will know what their rights are and what their rights need to be gone through conservation or other agencies.
But these are things that have been glaringly our responsibility that we haven't done. And so it's kind of hard to change kind of old ways of doing, but that it needs to be done. So
This is a
Beach
follow on.
sanding is another. Beach sanding, everybody
Yes.
thinks that they can just throw, but technically beach sanding is throwing in the well.
Yes,
This is
100%.
This is a follow-on to all of the other work you're doing on creating standardized forms for us.
Mhm.
The expectation is that once we come up with a one pager that says what's allowable under the bylaw, the Mendon bylaws, the WPA in chapter 91, that'll get posted by the Lake Association, and we also go to Jean, the assessor, who generates a list of every single person who owns property on the lake, and we mail it to them. And once we do that, no one will be allowed to say, but I didn't know. They'll say, we sent you a we sent you a postal mail telling you what you weren't allowed to do. And then we'd start writing enforcement orders and start finding people. And there are, as you probably heard at the Lake Nipmuc Association, there are a number of people there who were waiting for us to start issuing fines.
They were good. They weren't.
They're just getting sick and tired of
Right.
people just
Some
going
doing
off and
whatever they want.
going off and doing stuff while
The guy with the
they're
muck.
they're spending the money to
Yeah.
get the permits that they're
That
supposed to.
doesn't want leeches. That guy.
Okay, any other lake task force stuff?
Should be.
Okay, over to land use committee update.
land use committee, I don't think we met since we're meeting next week. So there's no further updates. There went into executive session. There was a parcel that might be wanting CPA monies to preserve that we might be supportive of, but that's not public yet.
Yep.
We did, the signs were installed on Jared Wheelock's property on Meadowbrook
Oh,
as
that's
well.
great.
So those corner boundaries were put in.
Speaking of that, whatever happened with 85 Millville Street? Guy keeps mowing the grass on conservation land, put a volleyball court up or something like that, and wants it to stop.
Well, we had that discussion a year ago, and I don't know how it got resolved, because Mike was kind of, let him kind of do it, and others were not. So I'm not quite sure where we ended up.
We have an agent now. If we find they're mowing them, we'll go out and let.
Speaking of
tell
which,
them.
did the markers get put in Quitsit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Magoonan farm.
Manusian?
Is that scheduled for it later this month or has it happened already?
It happened.
Okay, great.
So then you'll go out and eyeball it? Or
They
who's
put them
going
in
to eyeball?
buckets.
Mhm.
No, we didn't. We need to measure. I have one of those things with wheels that we can measure with. If we need it.
Okay. Yeah, he had some questions about his rights and was maybe gonna ask for a meeting, either with me and the chair, me, the chair and Anne or something to
Me
go
and
over
Mark.
his allowable.
That would be
John.
good.
John.
A good thing to talk
Yes,
for the meeting. That would be an informal discussion, then, yeah.
yes, and I am okay with Ann, myself, you looking at the existing CR and the three of us saying what we think it is, and then going and meeting with him and telling him what we think the CR is and hearing what he thinks the CR lets him do. So that would be the process. If Ann's asked you about that, that would be my response.
Yes.
That I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So he's kind of digging his feet in a little bit.
Well, I think he found out that his building is a little bit over the line, maybe. So we'll see. Maybe that's why he's interested in meeting with us before.
I think he has requests to build in another dwelling, but he can't do that. So
I think he said he wanted a barn, didn't he?
Doesn't he have a barn?
he wants somewhere for his daughter to live. I don't know.
Well, you
No,
go
no, he can't.
build
he
a
has-
barn and then you have housing for your barn helpers.
Yeah, but our zoning laws don't allow that. So
Sure, our zoning laws. Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm all for in-law
With that.
apartments.
Yeah, I know. We'll get those zoning laws changed.
Yes, I would definitely like to get my son out of my house and in a little thing in the back.
There you go. There you go. Why not? Why not? Coming soon, I'm sure.
Or,
Or he'll build you a little.
Yeah, well, there you go.
well, I got the basement finished out, so have it explicitly allowing in-law
We
apartment.
put my in-laws in the barn. We actually did. It's a garage with an apartment, but we call it the barn.
Get like a little tiny house and just.
Anyways.
Next to
oh,
your.
I'd be happy with that.
septic
Actually
system
saw
up
that.
to- Okay, so moving right along, done with general agenda item 8, agenda item 9, review and approve minutes. They have been printed out and they are before you. I looked at them and they,
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of 3/14/24 and 3/28.
no,
No, you have to
one
do
at a time.
Wait,
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of 3/14/24 as written.
Second.
second.
Leah jumps in. ahead.
Leah goes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of 3/28/24 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Items not anticipated in advance of meeting. I don't have any. Does anyone else? Okay, if not,
Well, just
Yeah.
2 questions.
Peter.
You did the best.
He can't
I have
help
duct tape.
himself.
The discussion about peer review, why couldn't we discuss that tonight? There's still a legal discussion?
yes, we are awaiting for input from town council
For
Okay.
what site?
for
Sure.
45, for 4745 Uxbridge Road. That's why the attorney was here, because we had informed him and John Nenart that we would not be discussing taking action on the peer review at this time.
Is he just watching us?
Yeah, he basically, despite my saying that as chair, I could have had people on the committee making a motion and overruling the chair. So he was just there to protect his client's interest. The expectation is that after we have a discussion with town council, better guidance on what to do in terms of peer review and what our position to the site owner, site manager and applicant are about the peer review.
Fair enough. And then we're still waiting for a site walk on North Ave. The barn that was built.
We're waiting for the ANRAD. My belief is that my feeling after talking with John Nenart is Kevin does not want 3 things going on at the same time. So he is just cooling it and not doing any further construction work at his residence until such time as the other projects are no longer before us.
Yeah, and he also has Hartford Ave that's sitting there, but yes, fair
Right,
enough.
and
29 Hartford Ave.
And all I have to do is look out my picture window to make sure that there's no construction going on at the
So
site.
because I just remember, is there siding on it now? Because I know they got the roof on it, but that was
The,
like,
here, the question is, there are a number of outbuildings, and the question is whether any of them are in the buffer zone. And in order to decide that, we would have an ANRAD. And until they decide to move forward with an ANRAD, their building permits are on hold. That's where agenda item 7, the 3 North Ave, 134 North Avenue building permits are on hold. They should not be doing further construction work on that site until until the hold is released by Concom and the building.
well, you got your eyes on it, so that's good. Okay.
Yep, that's at least until the leaves grow in.
Well, then you drive by it.
Right.
So,
All right. Anything else? Okay, who's going to make the motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
second,
All in favor? Great, okay. Recording, please.
Make a motion